looks like this one, as the warship was sailing in the Atlantic. But later, the pilot, Sub-Lieutenant Ian Watson, lost radio contact and was dangerously short of fuel.
Got into trouble while taking part in warm-up exercises off the coast of Portugal. Apparently, the pilot lost radio contact with his ship, HMS Illustrious, seen here on Falklands duty, and found himself running low on fuel and darkness descending. Sub-Lieutenant Ian Watson was preparing to ditch his aircraft when he spotted another vessel on his radar. At 2,300 tons, the Spanish cargo vessel was less than a fifth in size and weight of the Illustrious shown in these pictures. It was 70 miles away, but it was the only hope Sub-Lieutenant Watson had. As the Harrier, rescued by a cargo ship of a British jet fighter, had caught the Spanish imagination. Sea Harrier 001 had travelled nearly 1,000 miles, perched like some wounded bird on a row of containers. And what looked like a grocer's delivery van was propping up the tail wing, confirming that the Harrier had slipped backwards during its emergency landing. When the Alrego and its extra cargo sailed into Santa Cruz harbour just after midday, serious diplomatic and legal negotiations were already underway, and crowds of fascinated holidaymakers and spectators had flocked to see it. The docking of the Alrego is not the end of the affair. Representatives of the shipping company went on board, but wouldn't comment on the major and almost certainly unique salvage claim they're widely expected to submit. For the British, it's a delicate and embarrassing situation. This evening, naval and diplomatic officials were meeting the harbour authorities to discuss safety and insurance questions. Meanwhile, Sub-Lieutenant Ian Watson at last came down the gangway to confirm that he was in good shape, despite his nerve-wracking experience.
I lost navigation equipment trying to find my way back to the ship, and therefore became lost and uncertain of position. Trying to call them on the radio, I had no success, and therefore set up a search trying to find the ship. As the fuel was getting low, I realised it was futile and picked this ship out of the only one around.
There were no other ships available?
Nothing else, no.
And how much fuel did you have left?
I have maybe 1 minute's flying.
That's when you got to this ship?
Yeah.
What was going through your mind as it was hovering overhead and you were presumably looking down?
I'd just seen a place to land, and that was my only intention at that time, was just put the aircraft down as safely as possible.
It's a very, very small place. You must have doubted your ability to put it down on there.
The training we received is pretty good, but even so it's small, yes. And I think I was fairly lucky to land it as well as I did.
In the end, it's been a story of mixed fortunes for Lieutenant Watson. Warming up for his first major NATO exercise, he suddenly finds himself in the headlines and 4 days adrift from his Harrier squadron. For the way in which he skillfully managed to land on this crowded cargo deck, there was much praise and much relief. But the worrying question remains, exactly how did he find himself in such a dire situation in the first place? So Lieutenant Watson's fate is still not certain. But as a party of British naval engineers and mechanics got to work attaching lifting gear onto the Harrier, it was clear that no action would be taken until a Naval Board of Inquiry has investigated the affair. The Harrier will be taken back to the United Kingdom after being loaded onto a British tanker, which is expected in Tenerife tomorrow afternoon.